From the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in beautiful Colorado, it is Friday, October 9th, 2020, and this is Truly News. I am your host, Jason Van Sickle. I hope that your week is coming to a good end, and I hope that your day has started off great. As you move through another day in the timeline of your life, take some time at some point to consider the following. Good relationships, whether with family, friends, or romantic, are built over time. Like anything else that we want, positive results can only be expected if we are willing to put in effort. Don't think of relationships as things that simply exist within your life. Think of them as opportunities to invest in something that can grow and enrich your daily experience. Along those lines, consider taking time today or this weekend to reach out to one or more people that you care about and invest some time in deepening that relationship. The more you do that with people, the deeper your connections will become. And deep connections with people is an incredibly valuable thing in life. In the meantime, let me invest in you by taking the time to educate and inform you with a review of today's news. As always, we start with a look at the top headlines from across the country. From National Public Radio, Trump campaign pushes for in-person debate next week. President Trump's campaign is calling for next week's presidential debate to be held in person in Miami, despite the organizing commission's decision to hold it virtually. The commission said it made the decision to go virtual in consultation with the Cleveland Clinic to, quote, protect the health and safety of all involved, unquote. In an interview with Fox News on Thursday, Trump said that he would not do a virtual debate, calling the format, quote, a waste of time, unquote. From the Wall Street Journal, stimulus talks resume, but a deal remains elusive. Talks have resumed between Democratic leaders in the White House over a possible next phase of coronavirus relief aid. The discussions had been stalled out earlier when White House Speaker Nancy Pelosi would not move forward with an aid package for airlines without a broader package for the public. That was followed by President Trump saying earlier this week that he decided not to approve any additional aid before the election. The resuming of the talks seems to signal a willingness to move forward on both sides, but the consensus at this point on Capitol Hill is that a deal being reached before the election is not very likely. From the Los Angeles Times, fears of far-right extremism deepen as 13 are charged in plots to kidnap Michigan governor and attack Capitol. 6 people are accused of planning to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and 7 more have been arrested for plotting to target police and attack the state capitol. And from USA Today's 5 Things You Need to Know This Friday. Number 1. Louisiana braces for Hurricane Delta while still recovering from Hurricane Laura. Hurricane Delta is expected to take aim at Louisiana on Friday at nearly the same spot where Hurricane Laura ripped apart buildings, severed power lines, and clogged streets with debris just 6 weeks ago. Number 2. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi contending President Trump is, quote, in an altered state, unquote, will discuss legislation Friday regarding the 25th Amendment, which outlines the presidential succession. In a press release, Pelosi and Congressman Jamie Raskin said they will discuss legislation to create a commission to, quote, help ensure the effective and uninterrupted leadership in the highest office in the executive branch of government, unquote. More details on what all that means have not yet been made available. Number 3. Teen charged in Kenosha shooting due back in court. Kyle Rittenhouse is due back in court Friday as his attorneys fight efforts to send him from Illinois to Wisconsin to stand trial. And number 4, 2020 Nobel Peace Prize goes to the World Food Program. The United Nations World Food Program on Friday was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts to combat hunger and food insecurity around the globe. The Nobel Commission said that the coronavirus pandemic has added to the hunger faced by millions of people around the world and called on governments to ensure that the World Food Program and other aid organizations receive the financial support necessary to feed the world. And number 5 in your USA Today 5 Things You Need to Know this Friday, the Los Angeles Lakers can clinch their 17th NBA title with a win in Game 5 tonight. The Lakers can clinch a record-tying 17th NBA championship and their first title since 2010 if they can defeat the Miami Heat in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. The Lakers are expected to take the opportunity to honor the late Kobe Bryant in various ways if they win. And finally, in our look at the top headlines, here are the stories that are crossing the wire at Reuters News. President Donald Trump said on Thursday he may return to the campaign trail with a rally on Saturday after the White House physician said that he had completed his course of therapy for the coronavirus and could resume public events. Also, the U.S. Department of Justice sued Yale University on Thursday, accusing the Ivy League school of illegally discriminating against Asian and white applicants in undergraduate admissions. And U.S. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, one of President Trump's most powerful allies in Washington, told reporters on Thursday that he has avoided visiting the White House for more than 2 months because of its handling of the coronavirus. Continuing with the headlines, early voting numbers show that Americans are rushing to cast ballots ahead of the November 3rd election at an unprecedented pace, indicating a possible record turnout for the upcoming election. And finally from Reuters, mail delivery of an abortion pill will continue as the U.S. Supreme Court declined to act on a request by the Trump administration to overturn a ruling that was made by a federal judge in July. The judge had ruled against the U.S. Food and Drug Administration that had tried to require women to visit a hospital or clinic to obtain the drug. The Supreme Court's decision not to intervene means that the mail delivery of the drug can continue. And those are your top headlines for today. To put us all in a better mood after those headlines, we now present our top 5 joke countdown. As usual, bringing us the countdown is my friend Billy Cunningham. Billy is a comedian who goes by the stage name Potbelly. And now I turn things over to Billy.
Thank you, Jason. Well, our jokes today are based on jokes from Reader's Digest at rd.com. Now, I can't promise funny, but like Mama told me before I went on stage for the open mic night at Big Bertha's Fresh Milk Lemonade and Fudge Factory, she said, "No, Billy, you should have gone to the bathroom before it's time to do your jokes." Oh boy, I learned my lesson the hard way that night. Ooh-wee. Anyway, remembering Mama's words of wisdom, I bring you the top 5 countdown. And our category today is getting old jokes. Ooh, baby, here we go. Our number 5 joke in today's countdown: what is the shortest will ever written? Answer: being of sound mind, I spent all my money. Number 4. While visiting recently, my daddy asked for the password to the Wi-Fi's. "It's taped on the modem," I hollered across the room. After several minutes, I heard him grunting and cussing. "What's wrong, Daddy?" "I can't get the password to work," he replied. "Well, how are you spelling it?" In a loud and frustrated voice, he called out, TAPEDONTHEMODEM. He thought that was the password. Oh, I think that joke died while I was spelling that long thing. Boy. Number 3. The other day, I got carded at the liquor store. While I was trying to get my ID out of my wallet, my old Blockbuster card fell on the counter. Seeing the card, the clerk quickly said, "Oh, never mind," and rang me up. Yeah. Number 2. I tried having my grandmama's phone disconnected recently, But the customer service rep told me that since the account was in my grandpappy's name, he'd have to be the one to put in the request. The fact that he'd been dead for 40 years didn't seem to sway her. However, then I thought of a solution, and I asked the representative, if we just quit paying the bill, then the service will get turned off, right? Yes, she said, but in a stern voice she added, however, sir, you should realize that doing that will ruin your grandpappy's credit. Good thing she's not getting paid to operate heavy equipment. Jeez, wow. Oh, and your number one getting old joke of the day. I was sitting with my son looking at a family photo album. Hey, there's your great-grandpa, I said, pointing at a picture. That was taken at his 98th birthday. People always said I looked like him. Do you think I look like him? My son leaned forward, squinted his eyes at the picture, and then looked back at me, looked at the picture, looked at me, and he said, yeah, that looks like you in a couple of years. Oh, baby singer. Oh, man, that kid. I'm going to tell him later he's adopted. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Well, those are your jokes for today. I'm glad we had a little time together this morning, and I look forward to hearing you listen to me again tomorrow. And in the meantime, be kind to others, be good to yourself, and keep on smiling. This is Billy Potbelly Cunningham signing off. Over and out.
There you have it, folks. Billy and his top 5 countdown. Thanks, Billy. And now we return to the news. From the world of science and technology, the Associated Press reports experts say warming makes hurricanes like Delta and other storms power up faster. Atlantic hurricanes like Delta have been getting stronger faster lately. Hurricane Delta is just the latest and nastiest in a recent flurry of rapidly intensifying Atlantic hurricanes that scientists largely blame on global warming. Also in science and technology news from CNET, Facebook removed hundreds of fake accounts tied to right-wing groups in a campaign that spent $973,000 in advertisements on Facebook and Instagram before being removed. If you saw a comment on an article about mail-in voting in a swing state, there's a chance that it came from one of the 200 fake accounts Facebook has removed so far in October. On Thursday, the social network released its monthly report, which included information about having to take down the fake campaign that favored the Trump administration. And our final article for Science and Technology News comes from CNN. What is CRISPR and why is it controversial? 2 women, Emmanuelle Charpentier and Jennifer Doudna, won this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry for developing the gene editing tool called CRISPR. For those who may be curious, CRISPR, spelled CRISPR in all caps, stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. By the way, do not worry about remembering that. It is not important to this article. However, in simpler terms, CRISPR is a chemical-based technology that can cut up slices of DNA, the genetic code for all known organisms, and rework the DNA sequence to rewrite genetic code. The technology became increasingly controversial in 2018 when a Chinese scientist used the technology to create the first genetically edited babies. However, the technology has also received a lot of praise for its powerful, positive uses. It has already had a major impact on the fields of biomedical research, clinical medicine, and agriculture. And it is for those reasons that Charpentier and Doudna received their Nobel Prize. And those are your science and technology headlines for today. In health news, Science Magazine reports new test detects coronavirus in just 5 minutes. Relating back to our last article about CRISPR, this article is about Jennifer Doudna, one of the recipients of this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry, who has been working on a new test for COVID. Working with a molecule called RNA that is inside the coronavirus, Doudna and her team were able to create a CRISPR-based testing method that was accurate and fast. This is not the first CRISPR-based test to be tried by researchers. In May, another team reported a similar test that could generate results within 24 hours. However, all CRISPR-based methods still need to be tested more, and the challenge remains of how to turn the scientific methods into tests that can be distributed. So, these tests aren't available yet, but it is good to know that some of the brightest scientific minds are working on the problem. And from the New York Post, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said Thursday that COVID-19 vaccines for all Americans may be ready by March. Quote, "We project having enough for every American who wants a vaccine by March to April 2021." Unquote. He also claimed that up to 100 million doses could be available by the end of this year for those who are parts of especially vulnerable populations. And that is your health news for today. Now we take another break from the headlines for today's Words of Wisdom. To present this segment is Dr. Albert Feinstein, one of my philosophy professors from college. And here is Dr. Feinstein.
Thank you, Mr. Van Sickle. Hello, and welcome to today's Words of Wisdom. Today's words of wisdom are from the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who said, "All human beings, by their nature, desire to know." This simple statement is rich with insight into the very essence of the human condition. As we get older, we tend to increasingly lose our curiosity. It starts in childhood, when we are filled with curiosity and asking many questions. However, the people we asked often did not have the answers, and because of their own insecurities, would often respond, "Don't ask so many questions," or even, "That is a stupid question." Oh, what a shame. Curiosity is the defining trait of humanity. It is curiosity that has driven humans to advance way beyond the other 8.7 million species that have existed. So please, allow yourself to be curious. Learn how to once again ask the question, why? Because now you possess the technology in your phone and computers to tap into the knowledge of the entire world. So, it is time once again to set your curiosity free. And those are your words of wisdom for today. Back to you, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Feinstein, for those wise words of wisdom. We now return to our review of today's news. In entertainment news, we start with new movies. And today's movie is American Pie Presents Girls Rules. This movie stars Madison Pettis, Lizzie Broadway, and Natasha Benham. The movie falls into the category of comedy, and the description from IMDb says, "It is senior year at East Great Falls. Annie, Kayla, Michelle, and Stephanie decide to harness their girl power and band together to get what they want in their last year of high school." American Pie Presents Girls Rules is now available on Netflix. Moving on, we look at newly released shows, and today's show is Soulmates. This drama, romance, sci-fi series stars Dolly Wells, Anna Wilson-Jones, and Caleb Gomez. And the description from IMDb says, the series takes place 15 years from now when science makes a discovery that changes the lives of everyone on the planet. A way to find your soulmate through 6 provocative stories about the cost of finding true love. Soulmates is available on YouTube Premium. Finally, in our entertainment news, we take a look at newly published books. And our book for today is The Meaning of Mariah Carey by Mariah Carey. This book is presently #1 on the New York Times nonfiction bestseller list. Here is a summary of the book from Amazon.com. The global icon, award-winning singer, songwriter, producer, actress, mother, daughter, sister, storyteller, and artist finally tells the unfiltered story of her life in The Meaning of Mariah Carey. The Meaning of Mariah Carey is now available in print at your local bookstore, and it is also available in print, Kindle, and audiobook formats on Amazon. And that concludes our entertainment news for the day. As always, we end our broadcast with a look at what we call Happy News. And here is your Happy News story for the day. Following up on the Happy News story that we did yesterday, there is new news when it comes to the kind teenager who helped a woman in the drive-thru. If you didn't hear our story yesterday, then you may want to listen to the end of that podcast first. For those who did listen yesterday, here is the rest of that story. WCPO Channel 9 reports Brittany Reed was so impressed and thankful for the act of kindness shown to her in the McDonald's drive-thru that she wanted to do something in return. Even though she had repaid Wyatt, the 16-year-old who paid for her meal, and thanked him for his show of kindness, she decided Wyatt's act and his kind-heartedness deserved more than a simple thank you. So, the first thing that she did was create a Facebook post hoping to find Wyatt's parents to tell them about the great deed that their son had done. From her post, Brittany learned more about Wyatt, and one of the things that she learned was that he was working at McDonald's to save up for his first car. Wanting to show Wyatt the kindness that she had felt when he helped her, she set up a GoFundMe page. The page was set up with Wyatt's mom, and it was called Be Like Wyatt. She explained the good deed that Wyatt had done and asked people to contribute to a campaign with a goal that was set on the site of raising $5,000. However, the response was not exactly what she had expected. Instead of $5,000, in a short period of time, over 2,000 people donated a total of $35,000. Comments posted on the site showed a large number of people wanting to show their appreciation for a kind-hearted teen who didn't think twice about showing generosity to a stranger. Also, following the publicity that these events have received, McDonald's held a ceremony in Wyatt Jones's honor this week and declared October 7th Wyatt Jones Day. In response to all that has happened, Wyatt told an interviewer from Channel News 9, quote, "I don't know how to put it into words just because of how crazy it was. It's just a small act of kindness and everything blew up, and it's amazing to think that something like that can get you as far as this," unquote. Wyatt says that he plans to buy a very modest car with the money that he receives. Well, Wyatt, I want to say, it may have been a small act of kindness to you, but in a world that sees too much conflict and disagreement, and not enough selflessness and acts of generosity, you deserve the gratitude that you have received. The kindness that you showed a mom in a drive-thru wasn't just an act of kindness of one individual. As your story spread, it became a source of inspiration for many of us. And that is your news for October 9th, 2020. Have a great day.